Hi, welcome to the stream. I don't know, I seem to be having an audio problem. Let me know if you can hear me. Um, I don't know why I'm. Oh, this is muted.
Don't you? You do. Yeah. Honey Nut Toasted Oats. It's part of a balanced daily breakfast with over 5,000% of your
Oh
daily
my
sugar
gosh.
intake needs. Honey and Nut Toasted Oats is currently under supervision by the FDA and FBI research.
Cool. Um, so the deal is that's my little intro video. I like to have that every time I start the stream, little something to let people know stuff's going on before I really get into the meat of things. Maybe I'll change it up to some other videos, but that's kind of my favorite. So I'll stick with that for now. Maybe sometimes you'll get a little surprise now and then. But that's this stupid video my friend and I made when we were kids, and I just love it. So with that, um, I want to have a little list of stuff that I want to show you today, and that list is right here. Okay, so I'm trying desperately to get a build done for to show publishers, and so I started adding a little user flow to the beginning, so users can actually do something. Like previously, all the UI was just here in Unity, so I had to go around and click on things. And so I'm adding a user flow, and then I want to add little buttons for tools for the user. And so I'll show you what I have for that, and then talk just a little bit about this adiabatics and Coriolis stuff that I was working on yesterday, and was having a little trouble getting working just the way I want. And then I thought maybe we could go over the pitch to that I'm working on for the publisher, because I really haven't practiced it yet. So just thought I'd do like the quick sort of elevator pitch or slightly extended elevator pitch, and it'll be a good chance for me to practice, and maybe you can tell me how terrible I am at it, because I'm sure I am. And that'll be the content of today's stream probably. Keep it short and sweet. So I can show you what I added. Previously you'd hit play and it would just sort of go, and anything you wanted to change you had to change here in the Unity editor. One thing, or actually I'll just go ahead and hit play. And right now the planet's always simulating, but I want to set it up so that it's doesn't really start simulating until after you like click through OK and all this stuff. You can see it's simulating right now. So I haven't picked random names. I have a list of like 6 or 7 names. So this planet's Olga, and I want you to help you discover who it is. And you know, if I can start it again, and I'll get a different, well that time I picked the same one, but it's random, I swear. There we go, I'm Fergie. And let's see what we get the third time. Dusty. So some of the names I picked to kind of sort of indicate what kind of planet you might want to make it, like maybe Dusty is kind of a dry planet. So you click OK, and then you get these controls on the right, and it's all very temporary UI, but it's sort of indicative of the types of things that you will be able to do in the final real game. So we've got the axis tilt. Right now it's at 26.5 degrees, which, if I remember correctly, was the actual tilt of the Earth's axis, and that's why the sun is kind of orbiting here in the northern hemisphere. I can change it, so you know, it's from negative 90 to 90. Although really, the positive and negative values don't really make a difference. Well, they won't once I actually get it orbiting around the sun, because that just sort of shifts when the summer and winter happen, but you still get the same summer and winter. You know, you can change, do we have a really fast day, whoosh, whoosh, or do we have a slow day, where this is a day is almost 10 Earth days. And of course, I'm speeding up the simulated time, so even when it's just one Earth day of about 24 hours, it will. I should probably make this just an integer value instead of a float, so it's easier to pick the exact value you want. Like instead of a decimal number, just whole numbers. It's spinning. I equate one Earth day to spinning around in about 20 seconds. And you can change orbital distance. If I get really close to the sun, stuff's should get pretty hot once the sun comes back around. If I make it really close, it starts just frying the surface. You can see, it's really melting that ice now that I'm, half the distance, which is about 4 times as much solar heat. And I created a neat little band of ice there. That's funny. I could spin around to the other side as I always could. If I really make it close, it starts melting. I can make it right now up to only 2 Earth distances away from the sun, because I have to tweak some things to really make it make sense to go any further. And then how hot is your sun? How hot's it burning? Which right now these two things both affect basically how much heat your planet gets, but this one, once I get it going, will also affect the how long your year is. And then you can click done and do stuff. And so what I need to do still is I need to make it so the planet rotates around the sun. Previously the sun was a directional light, now I made it a point light. So like this, or let me shoot. I guess this circle's better. So the center of this kind of sphere here is where the sun is, and our planet's over here off to the side. And so I just wanted to quickly check. I realized I haven't checked if the planet's not at the center of the world, that all my raycasting stuff still works, and it's still working, so that's good. And so I just need to get it spinning around that planet. And so I have a distance, like a physical distance, but then the visual distance right now is just a fixed visual distance. And in the future I'll have some sort of ratio between those, and I'll have some actual visual for the sun. and I'll have to do a calculation of okay, given it's that far from the sun and the sun has a certain amount of gravity, how long is a year? And so that's some stuff I need to do. I also want to expose all this Planet Painter stuff. So right now I can either add terrain, which kind of grows a mountain, or I can do a leveling, which just makes everything kind of flat. And so what I want to do is make a leveler that raises stuff up above whatever you're going to set the sea level to. Which is another thing I need to add here, is basically the sea level. And so what I want to do is have it where initially, or when you're in this mode, the sea level will just sort of the amount of water in the land will just automatically adjust to that sea level you set, and then there'll be a leveling brush, or I'm going to call it a continent brush, that just sets the level to a little bit above that sea level. And so I did try to work on some adiabatics, and if I show you, I had at one point, when I was playing with a lot of conditions and turning certain things on and off, I think I was able to get it pretty good where the wind was flowing here from the right to the left, and it was taking some moisture from the ocean, bringing it over, and once it hit those mountains, the air cooled and let go of all that moisture and rained and created this nice green band of the mountains. But by the other side of the ridge, it had already dropped all its rain, which is kind of the first idea I had when I was thinking about making this simulation, is how you can sort of simulate that effect. Here up in Washington, we have the Cascade Mountains, which are pretty high, and they create a lot of rain and moisture, and so it's really lush and green on the coastal side of the mountains, but then by the time the air passes over, it's almost like a desert in eastern Washington. And so I wanted to simulate that effect, but once I was tweaking different things, I kind of lost it, and I had to have weird cases where somehow the air temperature up here would be hotter and the surface temperature would be hotter. I think the air because the surface temperature, and there's some heat flow between them. But I need to figure that stuff out. And I was playing with the Coriolis effect a little. I noticed that sometimes even when the wind was blowing straight sideways, there was an acceleration due to the Coriolis effect, which didn't really make sense. But now that should be fixed. I still can't quite get the full hurricane spinning that I want. It's kind of halfway there. But if we look at... Oh, another thing I want to enable for users is all these different visualizations, like elevation. And I think I might even just turn on an elevation visualization when you're Terra sculpting, as I call it. And so if we look, what did I want to look at? Oh yeah, the wind velocity. So that's kind of crazy looking when you look at it that way. So I'm going to make the default, and I'm going to have a different way of looking at the velocity, which is just at a point instead of these colors that represent it all over the planet. Although that was kind of interesting. I want to look at that for a second. So where it's red, you have a positive, like an eastward velocity of wind. Where there's green, you have a north blow. And then yellow would be kind of northeast. And then if it's black, then it's probably flowing some combination of west and south. And so, yeah, some interesting bands of wind here, which I don't quite understand. So this is kind of flowing east here, but then north there. So we go back and look at it normally, and then go to the camera. I can look at wind velocity this way with my little arrow, and it's kind of blowing. If I make my day shorter, I should get, I think, more Coriolis effect. And if you look in the upper corner there, it's actually showing some numbers for the velocity, and it's increasing. But just kind of an absolute magnitude, not in the way that I thought. So I might have messed something up. But there's that. And then the next thing I wanted to do was go over the publisher page, or the elevator page. So today I have my first meeting this afternoon with the publisher. I'm a little nervous about it. I wanted to have a builder show, but I also need to talk about the game. So here goes. So Pet Planetoid is the only game where you have a pet planet. It's your planet. Create it and then watch it evolve over billions of years of simulated time. Maybe it'll support life. Maybe it'll be a frozen wasteland. Maybe a giant meteor will destroy it. Who knows? I feel like when I said that, it felt very synthetic. Like, I want to talk to somebody where my natural enthusiasm is coming through and not feel too rehearsed. But I don't know how to read it and not read it in a way that sounds rehearsed. So Pet Planetoid is the only game where you have a pet. It's the only game where you have a pet planet. It's your planet. You create it and then you watch it evolve over billions of years. Maybe, and then it could support life. Maybe it'd be a frozen wasteland, or maybe a meteor hits it and just destroys everything. All kinds of crazy stuff could happen because it's doing this complex physical simulation. Wow. Look at this freaking hot lava planet I created. That's really interesting. All I did was make the day shorter. Interesting. Less time for stuff to cool off. Theoretically also less time to heat up, but that seems to be... Now I have my lemon planet. Oh, and I should turn my volcanism back on. So people can get some volcanoes popping in. This is Bobbert. Okay. And so I need to just test this with all the recent changes to make sure crazy stuff doesn't happen. And wow, that's some crazy colors going on there. I don't know what that's all about. That never happened before. Maybe because it's under the sea? So if I raise that up, okay, that looks more normal. Wow. That's really crazy looking. Might have to do something there because that just looks crazy. But yeah, so that's kind of the state of things. If you just tuned in, I can. So basically, I'm working on my planet simulator, and I added this stuff where it names your planet, and then I added this UI recently. Before there was no UI, the user couldn't really do anything. So now you can change like the tilt of the planet relative to the sun, and you can see that in this other view how it's tilted. We can change, is it a fast day where the sun goes around really quickly, or is it a long day, or is it just a normal 24 hours? And of course I speed everything up to show you in here. And you can change how close or far you are from your planet, and how is the sun really hot. If it's really hot, and especially if you're really close, then you can basically just fry your planet. And so yeah, I need to make this orbit distance affect how long your years and actually get the planet spinning around the sun. Right now the sun is just this sort of object right here, and your planet is this black circle. And I need to get it spinning around, which won't be too hard. And that's what's new. So yeah, this is a short and sweet stream, guys. I got a lot of stuff I gotta get going and do today. Wish me luck, and I'll be back on in 1 week, next Tuesday, after PAX is done. Alright, see ya.